Greetings from London. This is Maryum Sharif and welcome to the Star Moguls podcast. Today's guest is all the way from Dubai and he is a personal trainer and a sports nutritionist. So I wanted to talk about physical fitness, and he is the Simon Sinek of fitness because he talks about the why. Welcome, Tarek Shuhaibar.
Thank you for
Hi,
having me.
Tarek. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you very much for having me on and get me onto your podcast.
Yes, well, firstly, tell me how you're feeling because you actually had COVID symptoms and you tested positive, and so I was quite concerned about you. So tell me how you're doing. Tell me about your update.
Well, it was tested on Wednesday. My symptoms have been very mild, luckily. I've not really had aches, pains, loss of sense of like taste and smell.
Right.
Honest, if anything, I've
What were
been
your main symptoms? Because I went through this last March. So, everybody that comes along and I kind of give my take about it. So did you have any physical symptoms, as in where you felt like achy and pains and stuff?
I just felt like I wanted to I took more naps than usual.
Oh, really? So lethargic?
Yeah, I felt lethargic, a little bit tired. I thought, to be honest, it was hay fever, but I was like, I don't really think people get hay fever in Dubai because I get it every year with hay fever. I get
Right. Okay.
so generally in London, I work in like St. Paul's Bank, the city of London, and
Yes.
whenever I go into work and this hay fever is quite high with pollen, it literally knocks me out. I feel like I'm knocked out for 6. I just want to sleep all day long. I can't
Yeah.
focus on anything. So I was like, okay, that's a bit weird. I've got the same feeling now. I had a high temperature one night, went to 38.1. Apart from that, my temperature's been okay. To be honest, it's been very it just feels like I've got a bad cold, a bad case of the
Right.
cold, a bit lethargic, a bit tired, a little bit of a cough. I think now everything's kind of cleared. I could tell something was wrong because I started getting a headache, and I was like, I don't really get headaches that often, so I was like, okay, I've got a cold. And then they started getting worse, and I was like, okay, something's going wrong. And then all of my friends slowly started saying, okay, I'm positive. I'm like, okay, crap, this is going one way. Tested.
Okay,
positive.
so you found that so many people were testing positive that you decided that, okay, I better test myself as well.
I could tell I had
Before the symptoms happened.
Yeah, well, we all went away together to like a nice. I could get away for New Year's Eve. Everything was fine. Came back. I tested actually on the Saturday when I came back. It was negative, and then
Right.
I started getting symptoms. So on Wednesday I tested again, positive, which I kind of had a inclination that was going to be the case. But luckily, no real aches or pains. But funnily enough, some of my other friends have gotten everyone's symptoms are different. Some of
Yes.
them,
And I think that's what it is. It's such an individual thing, isn't it? It's so individually, everybody body reacts differently to the virus.
so it can also there's no real research that kind of suggests this, but more of a hypothesis in my head of the fitter you are, the healthier you are, the better your immune system, potentially it may help you in terms of your symptoms may not be as bad or they may not be long, because you get some people who have long COVID where COVID actually lingers on for 2-3 weeks. I've got one client like that. Her COVID symptoms have literally been lingering on for 3 weeks. She's tested negative, but she still feels tired, lethargic. She can't really gear herself up to do anything. So everyone's going to be slightly different. There's no real research that says, okay, someone might have it worse because their immune system's better or they're healthier or they're fitter, because you have no idea.
Yeah. So, I mean, it doesn't really matter so the fitter you are, if you're going to fight it off, if you have that immune system, because I know people that have climbed Everest who are personal trainers, who are like fitness freaks, and even they got it really bad and they got knocked out for 6. They were really bad. So I think it really is an individual thing and how your body reacts to it, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a weird thing. You don't really know, to be honest. One person might get it worse, one person might be absolutely fine. The hardest thing about it is mentally trying to gear yourself up to sit at home for 10 days. That's the hardest thing, and I can't.
So I know that you are, you work with CEOs and celebrities, and what I really liked is what I picked up on Omar's show. Actually, I kind of caught a glimpse of you on there, so big shout out to Omar. Is that you talked about this whole concept about why. You have to find this why we do things. And as we enter this 2021, I want it to be different for everybody else that is listening, that they don't think about this as, again, looking at fitness and their health as the same old way that they did. And I think we all, we get into this new year rut of I'm in January, so I'm in veganary. And I decided to do this just for my own sake, just to have a little bit of a break from everything else. It's more of a detox for a month. rather than anything else, and we get stuck in these whole diets or these myths, and what I loved about what you actually highlight, and you focus your main training and your whole kind of philosophy about, is about the why. Can you tell us more about that then?
The easiest way to kind of like to start is generally, like, say it comes January time, most people have this thing where they want to start training, they want to start eating better. It's usually because of it's not because they really want to do it. They feel like they kind of have to do it because December's been bad, or they feel like they're putting on extra pounds, or they just kind of go through different cycles of this. So it's just like it's a spiral. So they'll go through periods of eating well, and then training well, and then it kind of goes off track, and they kind of and it keeps going in like in a bit of a loop.
Hmm.
Most people, when they start their fitness or eating better or wanting to do that, they think of it as like a short-term fix rather than like what's going to happen long term. Because you can get anything. So anything like in terms of training and nutrition, you can get short-term fixes. You can go and do one of these diet plans which says, oh, you're going to lose 10 kilos in 6 weeks or 8 weeks or whatever it is. That's not going to really hold you in good stead for the next 2 3 years. So my kind of reasoning and why I like doing it with most people that come and see me first, I'm like, okay, why are you here? Like, what's the purpose of you wanting to train with me? Because behind every reason, there's always behind every exercise or any reaction that somebody does, there's always a reasoning behind it, whether it's subconscious or conscious. They always they always know why they're doing it. So every
Yeah.
time somebody comes to see me, I don't want it to be so like simple as in like, yeah, I just want to lose body fat. Usually that's the case. Most people come and see me, I want to lose body fat, I want to look good for a role, I want to look good because I want to run around after my kids. There has to be some sort of like strong reasoning or a strong why behind why you want to do this. Because I don't want someone to stick with me just for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I want to kind of think of a long-term strategy for them.
Yeah,
If you're
because health is long term. It's not it's not short term. It's a lifestyle, isn't it? So if people start to grasp this, that it is a long term lifestyle change rather than just a short term fix. But like you said, I guess people come in for short term and they want, like you said, a wedding or an occasion or a red carpet or something. When I'm styling, so I can probably relate to that in the same sense. So when you talk about, so we're in January, everybody started this new regime of veganary, or they want to look fit, then they have this kind of motivation for the start of the year, right? Everybody gets it in January. They have these resolutions and they have these aims and goals, and they put it down. Everybody starts the gym. Unfortunately, we can't join the gym at the moment because they're closed, but everybody at home, I know friends have ordered new equipment and new yoga mats and all sorts. That fizzles away after a couple of weeks, after a month, sometimes even a couple of months. It doesn't sustain. So is that what you're saying, that the why has to be so strong that it continues and sustains for months, years?
ideally you want to start with, so like say I'll give you a good example. So say most people, it comes in January, there's dry January, there's veganuary, however you
Vegan
say it,
area, yeah.
January. That's like a short-term solution to help you build momentum.
Yes.
So short-term fixes can be good for building momentums to get you building habits. I was actually reading a meta-analysis on like low carb diet. So you generally look at a research paper, but then you want to look further into the research paper, like different elements of it, as in like who's it done on how long has it been done, is it a short term research study, or is it a long term one? Most of them, like for example, low carb diets, you ideally need like a settling in period for you to start seeing results. So same thing with any sort of quick fix. You need to go into a quick fix with your eye on what you want to do medium and long term. You don't want to go
Where would
into
you think that somebody would train a quick fix, and where would you want everybody to train a long term? Is there
I
any time that you think a short term fix is good?
So a short-term fix comes with some advantages and some limitations. So again, if somebody comes like you were mentioning before for a wedding, they've got 6 to 8 weeks,
Yeah.
they want to look really good for their wedding. That's going to be a bit of a short-term fix. There's going to be limitations. There's going to be a bit more restriction, a bit more of a struggle. So you're going to have to say no to certain things. You have to, if you're willing to do that. So I
Yeah.
think most people jump into these things without understanding the limitations and the struggles they probably will face. if they're doing something for 6 months. If you're doing something for 6 weeks, if you're doing something for 6 months, the struggles and limitations aren't going to be as hard. So you may allow yourself a little bit more flexibility on the weekends. You allow yourself a little bit more time to educate yourself. Anything short term is not really geared towards educating you or improving your nutrition. It's just a simple diet plan. Get in, get out, get the goal, and then you can look at the next step. But that also requires you to be mentally strong. So ideally, if your habits aren't in place, your relationship with food's not in the greatest state at the moment, you're going in with the short-term fixes. Like I was mentioning before, you're just going to keep spiraling back and forth, back and forth. You're not going to
Yeah,
find.
and many and obviously this audience is mainly for the women, but obviously you're an honorary male guest.
Yeah,
But with women, we kind of put so much pressure on ourselves, the perception of beauty, and we go through so many of these diets and phases, and where we are, there's so many out there, isn't there, Tariq? I mean, like, like there's too many. You've got every possible, from the keto to the vegans to you name it. Like, I've never really tried them all because I'm lazy and I can't do it. I was a meat eater, but I've started to eat more fish. But I think one kind of gets to know their own body
yeah.
and understands what is good for them and what is not. But I do want to ask you something. Is it true that when people start a diet, especially if it's short term, they end up putting on more weight?
It depends on what diet, or it depends on what if you're doing. If like, um, my kind of thought process, if you want to improve your nutrition, improving your nutrition is more than just following a diet plan with prescribed set of rules. It's more than I'm going to eat 20 grams of carbs per meal. That again I'm going to say may is a strong word here. And you may put on the weight back on after a diet if it's very extreme and for a short period. If you do a diet, ideally a diet will probably last anywhere between a 6 to 12 week period. You have to go into a diet. This is why having someone who's a professional help you, is because a diet is only the first part of, with me working with someone, it's only the first part of what I look at doing. But a
Yeah.
diet doesn't have to be very, very extreme. I think most people put a diet and the word extreme together. It has to be extreme. It has to be a
Yeah.
struggle. It has to be hard. It has to be, oh, I need to be starving to feel like I'm dieting. But you don't have to do that. It just requires you to know, kind of have all the tools and know what you're doing. And just ideally, a diet or trying to lose weight is about following something for a specific period of time and being consistent with it. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be difficult. It doesn't have to be very hard. You don't have to feel like you want to eat everything in sight at the end of each day. I think most people do that or steer towards that is because it's kind of like touted on social media that, oh yeah, I'm going to help you lose 20 kilos in such a short space of time. But I think a diet, potentially, if it's very extreme, 99% of the time, most people will probably put on the weight again.
Yeah.
You see
Yeah.
all these low calorie diets are probably like 1,000 calories, less than 1,000 calories per day. If you do that for 6 weeks, a lot of the research papers that I've read, the period, the state of people gaining weight afterwards is pretty much like 70% plus. It's
Yeah.
because they don't think about what they're doing after that 6 week period. They're not trying to slowly increase their calories. They don't have the, like I said, building habits. They don't have the relationship with food that they thought they had. They don't have the mindset they thought they had. Their habits aren't in place. So if you tell like some of my clients now, I've been asking them, okay, so why do you drink alcohol on the weekend? I've just been asking, just out of curiosity, why you do it. There's a reasoning behind why someone does it. Is it because you enjoy it? Is it because you're stressed? Is it because you're bored because of lockdown? You just do it because it's like
Yeah.
in nature. Like I said, there's always a why behind the reason why someone does something. So if they're doing something for 6 weeks, like a really extreme diet, is that because you feel like you put on weight over the Christmas period? Is it feel you're not happy? Why you're not happy? I ask a lot of questions, and most people say to me like, gosh, you really ask a lot of questions, like you want to know everything about me. Well, yeah, it kind of makes my job a lot easier as well.
Absolutely. And I think that's where everything lies, in asking the right questions and asking, the person about who they are and who they want to be. Because without that, how can you guide them and how can you set that plan for them in the first place?
Exactly. I think
Sorry.
so. Yeah, just to finish off on that point is, you're kind of mentioning, we're kind of talking a little bit about short-term fixes and so forth. Um, they can have a place, like, but I wouldn't say just a short term like extreme calorie fix. If you just did a short term fixes and I'm gonna change simple little things, like if you're gonna say I'm gonna change 2 habits I do daily. So if I don't drink enough water, my one habit of the day is I'm gonna make sure I drink 2 liters of water a day. The next habit is gonna be like I'm gonna make sure I eat 5 pieces of fruit and veg a day. That could be your diet, but it doesn't have to be so extreme. But I think most people don't realize what place they're in or what position they should start a diet. Hence why they go all guns blazing, try and throw everything in the kitchen sink, and that's
Yeah.
what you
And I
fail.
think when you become overwhelmed, so I went on this training course with Tony Robbins, and he talked about diet, and he talked about that to diet is to die. And it's more like a mode of suffering. People suffer when they're on a diet. And I think that connotation, that relationship, like you're saying, is when people think they're on a diet, that you have to be deprived and you have to suffer when you're on there. And I think that's why I never stuck to it. For me, what has always worked is a balance of exercise, diet, and I kind of mental working my mental muscles. So I want to know what was the reason for you then? What was your why? Because you not only are a personal trainer and sports nutritionist. You used to be a semi-pro wrestler.
So I was a semi-pro wrestler when I was younger. I done like 4 bodybuilding shows. Um,
So how did you get into it, and what was your why to come into this field? Because I hear this is not your actual first chosen vocation. It's not your subject that you chose to study.
so I studied law mainly because
Yeah,
I thought, as the typical Arab, that oh yeah, his parents are going to be more approving if he's a lawyer.
yeah, yeah,
Didn't
yeah.
like law. I did wrestling kind of before, just because I loved wrestling as a kid.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
I did like the semi-pro wrestling, the stuff you see on TV. Like
So that
it's,
was alongside your law degree.
I just did that because more of it, like I started it before, and I always wanted to do a little bit of it. But then I thought, okay, I'm not going to be able to travel down to where I was doing it, and it got a bit too time consuming. I never kind of took it up as a professional thing.
How
Um,
did you, but let's go back to you and now. So what was the reason for you to do wrestling and being involved in those competitions? What was the reason for you to start your journey into fitness and training? What triggered you off,
I
really?
was initially really overweight, so I was about. I think I got bullied for years and years. I didn't
Oh,
like the way I looked. I felt uncomfortable with my clothes, my skin. Just didn't like anything. Like I kind of like would go through certain stages, like binge eating, more of a as a reaction to feeling stressed or upset. And I would just eat
right.
because food made me feel comfortable, and I felt like it was my best friend,
Yeah.
so to speak. Um, I woke up. My mom's family live in Egypt. I woke up one morning. I was having a shower. I just was just showering. I was like, you know what? I don't feel comfortable anymore.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was doing. I kind of read some stuff online. I knew a couple of friends who had lost weight. I was like, what did you do? Kind of read random articles online. So I decided to go low carb. Um, I didn't know any better. I was like, oh yeah, let me go low carb. Let me see what happens. I went low carb like Monday to Friday. On the weekend, I give myself one day where I'd eat like whatever I wanted with my family for like just one meal,
Like a cheat day, as they say. Yeah.
like a cheat reward meal for being good.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah,
I like that reward meal rather than the cheat day.
yeah. I basically gave myself like a reward meal for being so good. I would exercise with my granddad's rusty weights that he gave me. I would just try and keep active. Basically, I went from a calorie surplus to a calorie deficit. So I basically went from eating everything in sight to barely eating as much as I did. I still ate. Ate
Kind
like,
of more like going real cold turkey, like extreme level.
yeah. I basically just was like, you know what, I'm sick of it. And I'm the kind of person, like first couple of weeks or something, I find it hard, and then I'm just like all guns blazing, like the bodybuilding shows. First couple of weeks hard, kind of getting used to certain
How did you
habits.
get involved with that? I mean, that's quite extreme
That's
as
another.
well.
That's all.
To be on kind of display. Were you kind of at a stage where you were so proud of your body that you thought, okay, you know what, I'm gonna need to show this off? Or how did you get into that? Because contests are different, right? So training for yourself is a different matter, but having to put yourself in competitions and that's that's quite different. That's a different mindset completely. So how did you get involved to that next level?
I never wanted to be a bodybuilder. It was just more of a bucket list thing I wanted to do. I was like, you know what? I just did it because everyone used to laugh at me. Everyone used
All
to be
right.
like, you're never going to do this. You're never going to be able to be a bodybuilder, you're never going to be able to get on stage, you're never going to lose weight. And I was like, you know what, when
And of
somebody
course,
says that to me, something clicks in my head. I'm like, you know what, I'm going to prove it wrong. I'm going to prove you wrong.
yeah.
So I was like, I lost all the weight. Everyone was like, what have you done? Like, how's that happened?
How
Because
was the response actually with your friends and family? Did they?
they thought, like, I remember when I first lost the weight, I lost maybe over one summer, probably 15 kilos, so like probably 2.5 stone or something like that. I went into school and I grew taller as well over that summer. So I went
Right.
into school and the teachers would be like, "Oh, nice to meet you. Are you new here?" I'm like, "No, no,
Did
I'm
they
Tarek." They're like, No, you're not." I'm like, "Yeah, yes, I am." They're like, "You're definitely sure you're not Tarek?" I'm like, "Trust me, I am." Like they were like shocked.
drastic change that your teachers didn't even recognize you?
They were like shocked. And I think I always had like a bucket list of, yeah, I want to do X, Y, Z. I've done most things. And then hopefully this year I will kind of accomplish a few more of those things on the bucket list. And then some of them are going to be like more aesthetics and some of them are more fitness related goals that I want to kind of compete. But with COVID, who knows? Some of the fitness goals may have to wait till next year. But it was always like a push for me or a drive, like not because I wanted to be, oh, look at me, I've got the best six pack in the world, or oh, look at me because I want to be egotistical, or look like I've got abs and trying to like show off to people. It's just more in my head that I want to do it. So I know, and with that kind of extreme, like,
Were you trying to like, so I'm going back to your why, because I don't know if you've heard, but there's a Chinese saying, and then I don't know who's actually who it's by. I have to research it. 7 levels of why. Have you heard of this?
yeah,
So
I
you
have.
have to ask a person literally 7 times the why for you to get to the truth, to like the base level of the root of cause of why you want to do something. I'm not sure if you heard it, but it's very interesting. I only heard it a couple of days ago, and it talks about like having to say, okay, so I want to lose weight. Why do you want to lose weight? I just want to, I want to fit into my clothes. And then why do you want to do that? Oh, because I want to be on stage, like when I'm coaching, I want to be on stage. And then why, like literally peeling down those layers of asking why. So you're asking why, but there's a 7 level layer. And I find that very interesting, because that really kind of gets to that. I think it gets emotional. I think, I think until it's not hard hitting, heartfelt, and personal, I don't think it really matters. Would you say so? Like you said in your reason that it's, it was a personal matter. You got bullied, and then you wanted to prove it, like I guess to yourself, and prove it to everybody else. That was a real personal matter for you. And I think that whenever we do anything, it has to be so heartfelt and internal for us to feel it really to the inside. So, and then we kind of do something about the outside. Would you not think that's right?
Like, it's all of a lot of the reasoning behind someone doing something is a lot subconscious, and like people do like a diet or whatever because they feel
Yeah.
like they have to, or they want to look better, but it's all on the outside. It's nothing that's like so compelling that they want to actually carry it through. So a lot of people that come and see me potentially want to say, I want to lose weight, but they find a lot of hurdles in the way because subconsciously it's like they're doing it because they like saw, like I posted a transformation of someone, oh my god, that guy's got a six pack, I want to have a six pack. but,
Right.
but do you realize what it's going to consist? Do you want to do it? Why do you want to do it? Is there a reasoning behind? All these kind of questions kind of go hand in hand with a lot of the things I do with clients in terms of I ask why they want to do it. Okay, like it's very surface level. I want to lose weight.
Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
do you want to lose weight? What happened to you? And it's usually something that stems from childhood, or something stems from them not being happy, or why you're not happy. And then you're gonna go into a little bit more. But people don't think about their reasoning behind something that deeply. And
Yeah.
going very deep into something like that is, for most people, it's like, oh, they kind of want to stay away from that. It's a kind of hard hitting, it's emotional, it's passionate, it's like a strong reasoning behind something. But 99% of clients I've seen that have gone that deep usually get the best results, or usually kind of keep things off for long term, or they become, fitness becomes part of their life. It becomes
Yeah.
part
Yeah.
of like, well, who they are. They like doing it. They like staying fit and healthy.
Yeah.
But it's a really good point that you made there.
So, there's something that happened. So in this last 10 days or 12 days that, for me, I'm just doing it for my own detox or for a little bit of a change for myself, that I want to give myself a break from meat and, chicken and all sorts. So my mother wanted some chicken. So I made some, and I looked at it and I thought, oh, it looks so scrumptious. And I just thought, I stopped, and I didn't even I looked at it and I opened up the pot and I put it back again. And I thought to myself, I don't want to do this, because I've got a chance to do this for myself, rather than, like, I get a chance to do this rather than I have to do it. And I think when you kind of change, certain kind of switches in your mind, and think, look, I'm getting a chance to improve my health. Look, we've got a chance to be better this year. And having COVID myself last year, it was really scary. So, for me, that was so powerful that I didn't even, you didn't even look at it. I did have a bit of chocolate, but that was about it. But, besides anything else, I mean, I really kind of stopped quite easily. And I think once you've kind of made that switch in your mind, it becomes very easy for you. So, like, the habits that you create, what I'm interested in is creating habits, like, for CEOs, leaders, celebrities, people that you also deal with and train and transform. you know is their mindset, because obviously when as leaders, as entrepreneurs, you want to do something, you do it, right? Like, you've made a decision, you've decided, and you're going to go for it. How do you find training CEOs and leaders and, entrepreneurs? Is it much different from other people, would you say?
Like, but looking at someone's personality as well, like it's like, and it's kind of like referring to like positive affirmations and the words you use and how powerful they can be. Because a lot of the time, like these people are very cutthroat in their industry. They're very like very good. They're very successful. When it
Yeah.
comes to like training nutrition, I kind of have to start them back at square one again, because they're not as powerful and successful in training and nutrition as they were doing their jobs. But you
Yeah.
also find that they are more likely and more inclined to be able to be open to different things and be open to, like, if I said something, they're more likely to do it.
Yeah.
But kind of goes back to like the affirmations you use. If you keep saying to yourself, oh no, I can't do this, or oh, I'm not going to get up in the morning and go for a run, or I'm not going to do this, or I don't want to, you're not going to. You're not going to want to do it.
Do you think affirmations really help in a mindset, and especially with diet and health and fitness? Do you think that it does? Do you think affirmations is powerful to use?
I think I think when it comes to like training and nutrition, it can be powerful
Yeah.
if you have the right plan in place. But if it becomes more powerful when it comes to more routine and more structure and trying to create better habits in place rather than the training and nutrition, because again, you could say no, I don't want to eat chocolate, but you probably will eat it if it's thrown in front of you. If you have built habits in place where you stop using words like good and bad for food, then you can probably say, you know what, if I want to have a bit of chocolate, I can. But that takes time to build that in your head or build that within your infrastructure. So a lot of the time, most people put connotations on food as bad or good. Oh, I'm never going to have a chocolate because it's so bad for me. If you have a small bit of chocolate, it's not bad for you. If you have 25 small bars of chocolate, yeah, it may be bad for you. But it's just all about how you look at the situation. So you could look at the situation positively or negatively. If you keep saying, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to be able to start, or I can't do this, or I can't give this up, or I can't swap this for this, 9 times out of 10, you don't really want to actually change, or you don't really want to see a change in your life. So you could do all these like short-term fixes, but I think with transforming, for me, transforming someone is not just their physical appearance, it's mindsets, the way they look at certain situations, the way they go about the day, their habits they've created. It's not just, oh yeah, I've got a six pack. I
Yeah.
did that so long. I did that. It was like, for me, it was all about just looking great, having big arms, having a six pack, didn't care about anything else. And then like a lot of hardships happened for me, like relationships went astray, didn't go the way I wanted to, stress with work.
Was that a trigger for you, and did that put you in a downward spiral? I
It
mean,
was,
like, let's just take the example that you've just given of, like, relationships, because, sometimes, we have certain triggers in our life, don't we, that We're doing really well. We're doing really, really well. And all of a sudden, something happens. Like there's so many deaths that have happened last year, and so many just in these last couple of weeks that I've known.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, so many people that I've worked with, or the families and family friends. Something happens in life and we get triggered, don't we? How do we take that one trigger, like for you, like a relationship, like if we're talking about your personal situation, how how did that affect your fitness and your diet?
So it made me realize that you don't have to be so gun ho all the time to look a certain way. I think like one of the like first relate like what, probably like 5 years or so now, that relationship, it didn't go the way I wanted it to, but I was so like fixated on I have to live this way, or I have to do this, or I
Yeah.
have to be this person or live by these rules to actually look good. And in reality, it didn't go the way I wanted to because I was too much like this, and I never found that balance. And then like that didn't go the way I wanted to. Then I had to think to myself, okay, why did that not go the way I wanted? Because I'm a bit too much like this and like so I kind
You
of
really kind of had accountability for yourself, kind of looked at yourself.
and I kind of realized, okay, you don't have to like even now my life is a lot more balanced. Like my last relationship, it kind of taught me you can be more balanced, you can enjoy training. You don't have to be so, oh, I'm going to eat 6 times a day, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. It got to a point where I got a bit bored of doing that. So I kind of realized, okay, I've reworked things around. So I've got more balance, but balance is in, if I miss a day in the gym, it's not the end of the world. I've not gone to the gym for like, what, 9 days now.
Yeah.
Nothing's
How
happened.
are you
To
feeling not going to the gym for 9 days?
be honest, I'm still here. Like I'm still kicking. Like it's not made any difference.
Yeah.
I'll go to the gym on Sunday. It's a week. I think most people get scared about that. Or they don't go to the gym, they don't exercise for a week, they're gonna lose progress. It doesn't work that way. I think I was so fixated. If I missed like 3 days of the gym, it's the end of my world. Like I was like, I don't know what I was gonna do. Like I went to Disneyland once. There was no food. I didn't eat anything for 7 hours. I did not want to eat a burger because I was like, I thought it was gonna make me fat. And in reality, I look back and I'm like, what was I doing? But I think it takes a while for
Yeah.
people to realize that I thought my relationship with food was great. It wasn't. I thought I had everything. I had all the answers to everything. I didn't have all the answers to everything. But most people don't realize it takes time. So you have to go through some periods of unsustainability to become sustainable, to become balanced. You're not going to wake up and become that overnight. It doesn't happen. You have to go through some periods of struggle. You have to go through some periods of learning and education.
Yeah.
That's going to take a
Yes.
lot longer than 6 weeks. It's taken me 16 years to get to where I am. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's not going to happen overnight. And you have to be open to that. You have to be open to thinking to yourself, you know what, I can make a lot of progress in 3 months, but I'm not going to get to my finished article. I'm going to probably need 12 months, 2 years to get to where I actually really want to get to. And if
Yeah.
you think of it as a long-term project and think of each little section as a short-term project or a short-term and medium-term goals to get your long-term project, I thought I was going to get where I wanted to in like 2 years or a year. I was, yeah, I'm going to get like this muscular guy. And I was like, it's just never going to happen. Didn't realize it would have taken me 10 plus years to get to a shape or get to a mindset position that I feel comfortable. I only focused on the aesthetics and nothing to do with my mind or my brain or my mental health. Didn't come into the equation because I didn't think it was important until certain things happened. And I was like, yeah, okay, I probably need to go and work on this as well now.
Do you think that mental strength is more important than physical, or do they go hand in hand?
They come hand in hand. So all of these bodybuilding shows that I've done, it's physical will only get you so far.
Yeah.
When you get towards the last 6 weeks, it is 90% all mental strength.
Mm.
You're going to be tired. You're going to be wanting to eat everything in sight. You're going to feel lethargic, not enough energy. You're going to feel a bit like down. And it's all going to be mental to kind of get yourself to the very end. Anything you do in life, there's going to be, if things are hard, it's going to require a lot of mental strength to get you to
Yes.
the finish line. It's never going to be like, if it was so easy, everyone's going to do it.
Everybody's going to do it. My first guest talked about emotions a lot. So taking January is really kind of, getting everybody really equipped with physical, mental strength. So she talked about emotions and how powerful they are. And, you just talked about your relationship with food, and certain foods. trigger certain emotions. And this is why I'm taking this month off, just to not eat anything too heavy or stodgy or nothing too kind of over powerful for me, just keeping it nice and light, and eating lots of fruit and vegetables. And she was talking about how food have also vibration and they have emotions, and you're attached to the foods, and you build that kind of relationship. So you actually now are also a sports nutritionist. What has that taught you about the effects of the body and in the mind? And are there certain foods that you say, like how people have strict diets about, being vegan or not being vegan? You see, like, The Game Changer, I think it was the movie on Netflix where, the strongest people in the world are vegan. And so they're proving their point. You know, how does food affect our emotions and our mental strength?
It's going to affect like anything. Like your food is food in its like simplest form is energy. If you don't eat enough, if you don't eat the right quality food, if you don't eat nutritious food, you're not going to have the right energy. So 200 calories from chicken is going to be very different to 200 calories from a chocolate bar. They're going
Yeah.
to have different digestive elements. So you're going to be able to take more protein on. You're going to be able to recover from a gym session with a chicken breast compared to a chocolate bar. Food is gonna like food is the biggest like medicine for your body. I think
Yeah.
most people are like taking so many supplements and take everything under the sun. But then I look at them and I'm like, so,
Supplements are good. Tarek,
yeah. So what's that?
do you think supplements are good?
So they're meant to like it says it in the name. It supplements your diet. It
Yeah.
supplements if you are training vigorously. So like athletes that I've worked with, if they're doing multiple sessions a day, if they are overreaching, if they are requiring certain supplements, then yeah, they have a huge place in sports nutrition. Even for normal day-to-day people, certain supplements will help you, like fish oils, vitamin D3,
Yeah.
um,
Omega. Yeah.
magnesium may help. All these things may help, but if you don't have the basics, like it's like building a house. If you don't have a foundation in your house, what's going to happen? There's going to be a thunderstorm, or where if you're like, it's going to fall. Same thing
Right.
is, if you don't have the basics in terms of you're not eating enough protein, which is
Yeah.
very, very important. If you're not eating enough carbohydrates to fuel your training session, to fuel your life, to fuel you moving around, if you're not having enough fat for hormonally, for chemical reactions in your body, you don't need to have supplements. They add on top of it. They make your diet, they may bulletproof your diet, they may bulletproof your training, your nutrition, your lifestyle, just your day-to-day life.
Yeah,
But
because we don't get everything from our daily lives. We sometimes we work long hours and we don't eat properly or we don't train. And I think that, we do suffer from our diet. We don't sometimes, we're in a rush, or we're working on a project and we haven't got time to even eat properly. And so that's when it all suffers. And, even with the food, how it's made nowadays, it's not all organic. Not everybody eats organic food. So in that way, supplements are very good. I know somebody who used to take like 15 supplements, and I used to say, that's just too much. That just put me off straight away. So I take a couple, omega and vitamin D, as suggested last year, obviously with COVID. Is there certain, would you say, for, let's just say, ordinary people, um, you know, what supplements do you think are absolutely vital then that we should be taking?
so, well, I kind of work with more like general pop anyway now.
Yeah.
But I think things which have you want to look at like the science. Science is ever evolving. Science, what they said 10 years ago is going to be completely different to now. So
Yeah.
there's supplements which I will advise, like vitamin D3,
Yeah.
fish oils, potentially magnesium and zinc.
Mm,
However, if the person goes and gets their blood test done, then we can kind of see a little bit more about what they may need. If I
yes.
get full blood work done from the client, for example, then we can kind of recommend properly. Certain populations may need certain supplements. So if a female has low iron, if a female has PCOS, polycystic ovaries, they may need certain supplementation to help them, especially if they're trying to lose body fat, especially if they just want to function on a day-to-day basis, because they're not producing insulin as efficiently. They're not. It will find it a lot harder to lose body fat. If you are a vegan, you may need certain supplements like vitamin B12. You may need creatine. You may need to add certain things into your diet so you can get a full spectrum of amino acids.
Yeah.
so you can kind of like optimally function, is you can function like 100%. That's why again supplements can have a benefit but on the population. But my go-to is usually going to be vitamin D3, fish oils, and I may throw in like a magnesium. Again, probiotics are there as well, but
Yeah.
the studies are not very conclusive on probiotics. But I think those are the most well studied supplements. That creatine monohydrate as well. But again, that's again sports nutrition. But again, you don't need to over supplement. If you supplement like baseline,
Over supplement?
you can over supplement. Like if you,
Over supplement.
it sounds a bit weird, but like if somebody has good levels of vitamin B12, if
Yeah.
they're very optimal, they're not too high or not too low, you'll get like, depending on where you go, you'll get like an average. You'll get like a low dose or a high
Yeah.
reading or an average reading. If you're within the average, a bit lower, a bit higher, you're going to be fine. If you're too high, it can become toxic. If you have too much vitamin B12 in your body, it's not a good thing. If you have too much vitamin D3. I've never heard that, but it could potentially happen. You still don't want that. So you don't want to overdose supplements because some people will take a lot and it can have a negative effect on you. That's why blood work is usually the best port of call if you want to take 20 supplements. If you want to, go for it. But you may be just wasting your money. And there's a lot of supplements now that say, oh, take this because it's good for your joints, or take this because it's good for your health, for your
Yeah.
heart. You may not need to. You can, and it may not be a detrimental thing. If you want to and if you have disposable income to, yeah, great. But just to remember, there's going to be recommended dosages for a specific reason. Some may be slightly higher for like people who go to the gym than people who don't. Same thing that goes to protein. Some people who don't go to the gym or exercise as frequently, females and males may need different elements, different amounts, but you don't need to go so excessively high or so excessively low. This is why, again, the internet can be a bit of a wish-wash with like information, but I think supplements have their place, like the ones I've mentioned, but
Yeah.
there's so many now. So like there's such a wide spectrum of supplements. Don't take this, take this, take that. I think a lot of them is to sell. Like you get stuff like CBD oils are so good for this, and you get something like ashwagandha. You can get adaptogens which help you with stress, and
Yeah.
things may help you. And if you are prone to stress a lot, if you have bad sleep, you can take supplements to help you with sleep. These aren't going to be detrimental. But I think the baseline, like you can look at supplements for health, you can look at supplements for performance, and you can just look at supplements for just like a special population per se, like
Yeah,
iron.
you touched on stress a little bit, which was great because that was my next subject actually to talk about. You know, we're in lockdown here in London, and you know this new variant that has come about it's actually affecting more people, and there seems to be like a higher death rate now, and the anxiety again has gone up. You know, I've seen, I can feel it with the conversations that I'm having. um so the anxiety, the kind of fear factor that's come back in again, and the fact that we're stuck at home, all thinking that this could be over, and we've really got no kind of time limit until the vaccine is here. Then you've got questions about the vaccine. So when it comes to stress and anxiety, how does that affect the body, and what should we be doing to avoid this? And what are the actual effects on the body with stress, as such as this? And because we want to obviously eliminate this as much as we can, and the fact that we're at home and being alone, it doesn't help. So what would you suggest in that?
So ideally, stress in its like purest form is like, some stress is good. We need some stress. We need some adrenaline in our bodies
Yeah.
function to kind of move, to like stay alive.
Yeah.
Uh, too much stress. So if you are chronically stressed, if you have a lot of stress, so say for instance, if you are stressed all the time, you're going to have cortisol, which is going to be elevated. If that's chronically elevated for like long periods of time, it can affect your sleep and wake cycle. So you may find it harder to go to sleep at night. You may find it harder to wake up in the morning. If you are stressed and it kind of turns into like worse, into like anxiety, into depression, that again is a form of stress, but it's a bad level of stress. We don't want too much bad stress. We want more of the good stuff. So stuff like exercising, it's a good stress on our bodies.
Yeah.
But ideally, too much of it right now, and especially if we're cooped at home, can probably lead to too much. If you are prone to this, I did a post on this like a couple of weeks ago. Like some of us are prone to having certain things like anxiety. So you have like environmental factors which can make things worse. Like now it's going to be an environmental factor, which is
Yeah.
stuck at home. There's nowhere to go. And even if you want to leave your house, you can go for a walk. You can socially distance, maybe see a friend who lives near you. That's going to build on. It's going to build up. I know from the first lockdown when I was in London,
Oh, you were in London for that, were you?
I was in London for that. I found it hard to be honest. The second part of it was a lot harder than the first because I missed the gym. I miss exercising. If I
Yeah.
had, if I had, and I miss my friends. Like I miss seeing people. So some days I just kind of, I had my non-negotiables. So I kind of touched on this before. So my non-negotiables are things I do every single day without fail. Like I have to do these things. I make sure I go for a walk. Um, Probably not now. I basically now I walk on the balcony. So I kind of go for a walk. I make sure I drink 5 liters of water, and I make
Right.
sure I do some form of exercise every day. So that's my non-negotiables every day. And I tried doing that during
How
lockdown.
much water should we be drinking? Because I think that's actually that's one of mine as well. How much should we drink?
Depends on the person, depends if they train or not. So I would say anywhere between 2.5 to 4.5 liters, depending on if we exercise or not.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
there's an equation which I can't remember off the top of my head, but I will message you the equation. Um,
Okay.
I'll tell you, I'll message you the equation.
Sure.
No, I can't remember it. But yeah, like
We'll,
you
we'll add
ideally,
that in afterwards.
it's ideally anywhere between 2.5 to 4.5, depending on how big the person is, depending on how
Yeah.
much you exercise,
Mm.
um, depending on if you sweat. So
Yeah.
somebody who's very prone to moving around, exercising in hot countries, these things will all affect it.
Yeah.
But that's probably a good mark for most people. But I think most people, if you are currently drinking a liter of water, this could be your non-negotiable. Next week,
Mm.
I'm going to drink a
I
liter.
like that non-negotiables. So that's something that we must do every single day.
So it's all going to be dependent on you. So if your non-negotiable is, I'm not going to smoke a pack of cigarettes, then that's your non-negotiable for the week. I,
Right.
I think of my non-negotiables like every month, every Sunday. So I'm like, my non-negotiables for this week is I'm going to make sure I do X, Y, Z. I'm going to make sure I do 3 gym sessions. I think this is what makes it a lot easier and it becomes a routine and you can build habits. Is if this is something you do without fail. So my non-negotiable is I'm going to train 45 minutes a day and do something. It could be a run, it could be a gym session, it could be a walk. That's something I have to do to help potentially with my mental health as well, my stress levels. My non-negotiable this week has been try and just like detach from everything and read a book, just to help with
Oh,
like
nice.
cabin
What are you
fever.
reading?
Is it? It's not here. It's a book by. Actually, let me get it for you. I'll show you what it is. It's actually.
Okay. Sounds interesting.
It's it's this. It's called Soul for Happy by a guy called Mo Gaudat.
Oh, I haven't heard of that.
He was a chief business officer at Google.
Yeah.
Um, and it just talks a little bit about because I was listening to him on a podcast. His son passed away, and he kind of took grief and he turned it into a positive, um, in a positive way. And it kind
Yeah.
of and it kind of like talks about his journey of like happiness. And it talks about different elements of things that I like as well. I just started it, even though I've had it for quite a while, and I've
Right.
not. The thing is, now is the perfect time to read because I'm just stuck here. Um,
Yeah.
but now it just kind of talks about different elements of finding happiness, and
Yeah.
happiness can be seen or viewed, and you can find happiness in pretty much anything. It just depends on your mindset and how you think about it.
Exactly, because I think just this whole perspective of like, being indoors and not doing things and, having COVID. And I just actually posted something this morning myself on Instagram talking about how we should take this as, looking and finding opportunities rather than thinking, okay, this is a challenge and what do we do now and getting stuck? Because, what do CEOs and entrepreneurs do? This is what we do best. We find solutions, we find opportunities. So find the opportunities. I know so many of my friends who have set up and started new ventures, and I applaud them because yeah, it takes guts to do that as well. Change from your current situation and do something completely different. So hats off to them. I love that book. I'm going to add it on to the profile when you let me know. And yeah, it sounds good. And so yeah, it's all about changing your perspective, isn't it? About how we are, and the fact that if we just turn this whole thing around and actually just have total gratitude to this these circumstances, and actually when you think about it, that you're still breathing, you're still alive, and then you're able to do something and change that around.
So
What would you say, and we talk about this, people talk about gratitude and meditation, is there something that you do like as a morning routine? Everybody talks about these morning routines that everybody has, and they start off with meditation. Do you think that's something that you would encourage, and is that something that you do yourself?
I think if meditation is actually quite a hard thing to actually get into. When I first started it, I would just fall asleep. I just couldn't do it. It
Was that
takes
guided meditation, or did you just do it yourself? Because I
I
find
did.
that quite hard myself, just trying to meditate, because your mind goes crazy, like it goes in all directions. So I started off with guided meditation. So when you say you fall asleep, did you do it with some music, or did you do it with some
like
sound?
guided meditation, but it'd be like close your eyes, breathe. Like
Yeah.
within a minute and a half, you're sleeping. But I still found like I think now my mind's a bit all over the place because me and my friends went hiking on New Year's Day in a place called Fujairah, which is like 2 hours from Dubai. We went up like a
Yeah.
big mountain. Yeah, and one of my friends just like went through like a guided meditation for like 7 minutes at the top. So we all closed our eyes, but I couldn't like zone
Actually,
in.
guided meditation at the top of the mountain, was that's pretty remarkable. Wow, I've never heard of that one before. What possessed him to do that? Was it that he wanted to anchor that moment, or
I
take
think
it all in? What I've never heard of that one before, Tarek.
he wanted to like take in the moment and just kind of like get us to like bring us back down to earth in a weird way. Just to kind of
Yeah.
get everyone to just to relax and kind of start the year off fresh, and kind of being like your 10x mindset. So you want to kind of attack the year with vigor and like purpose. Uh,
Right.
but for me, it was hard because I couldn't like switch off for whatever reason. And I know like
What
recently
were you thinking? What was going through your mind then, when everybody was all tranquil? What was going through your mind?
I was thinking about work. I was thinking about going back to London. I was thinking about coronavirus. I was thinking about because I've got things to do in
But
London.
you didn't have it then, though, did you? You
No,
didn't.
no.
No, no.
Well,
So
technically, I probably did, but I didn't really. I didn't realize. I did. I felt fine.
yeah.
Um, but no, I think it was just more to do with just like life and trying to sort out this in London and this in London and that and like a million things were going through my head. So I knew I was not like in a like a the place I usually am in. I was a bit more stressed than I usually am. But I think that going back to
7 minutes is quite a long time at the top of a mountain.
yeah,
Did
so
everybody come out with their own realizations,
I think
or did you talk about it afterwards?
we just talk about like stuff like what's your New Year's resolution, all this kind of stuff. For me,
Yeah.
it was more do more things that make me happy.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, it could be like what makes me happy is going to cinema, going for a walk,
I
going to
miss the cinema so much, Tarek. I mean, I know I've just, watched Netflix, and that's fine, but just going to the cinema, I mean, like, I was saying to my friend, and she always says to me, we were talking about emotions and stuff, and a couple of weeks ago for the first episode, and she goes, remember, we always have to tell you to take your box of tissues because you're always crying. And I was like, I miss the cinema so much. I think that's one thing that I really missed last year, as much as we can do it at home, it's not the same, is it?
no, I think I'm the same exactly. Like I kind of miss the cinema. I just miss the basic things, just going out, like
Yeah.
a lot of five-a-side football with friends because we could do that because there was nothing else to do.
Yeah.
I think when going turning and going back to stress, um, it's your
So no,
environment.
so your meditation was basically so do you meditate on a regular basis though? Like
I do
besides the
I do on a
mountain?
I usually do on a regular basis just because
Yeah.
I find it helps me just like be a bit more peaceful. I've gone to different like yoga workshops, I've gone to meditation workshops. I find
Right.
it helps me feel a lot more centered and a bit more relaxed, and I can do my best thinking and best planning that way. Um,
Yeah.
because generally, like, there's a lot of like noise and a lot of day-to-day things that happen in life. If I don't do that, I feel like I'm a bit all over the place. I'm thinking about a million things. I need to just drown out all the noise sometimes and just like focus on myself. So sometimes I may not talk to anyone for like 3 or 4 days because I want to have
Yeah.
my own time. I don't want to speak, not because I don't want to talk to people. I just want my space so I can
Please.
focus and recenter myself a little bit
Yeah.
more because sometimes so many things happen that I need to do that. And I've learned like I think it probably happened after like that relationship that went sour. I need to give myself more time to kind of, when I'm feeling stressed or things are going wrong, or to kind of give time to myself so I can think about my goals, think about what I want, think about like putting myself first sometimes, which again, I don't usually do.
Yeah.
But I think most people don't do that either. They don't like kind of put everybody else before them. They don't know when to say yes, when to say no to certain things. But it's all a learning curve. And I
So
think it's,
some great realizations about yourself.
and if I don't do that, I find I get a lot more stressed. Again, to do with the environment. When I was in lockdown, I was a lot more stressed, not because of who I was with or in my environment. It was just the situation, because I like to control things, and if I can control something, my head goes all over the place.
Yeah. So
I become
what have you learned about yourself then, in this 1 year of, you know, since COVID has come about? What is your biggest learning that you feel that you've learned about yourself?
I think the biggest thing I've learned is if you go into something with a plan or with a purpose, you will come out on top. If you go into something with no plan or no purpose, you're going to find it very difficult. First lockdown, I had no real plan or no real purpose, mainly because I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
I came out with the first month, I felt great. Second month, I was like, how long is this going to last? But I think it's made me a lot emotionally stronger, a lot more, not even physically, nothing to do with physical. Like I'm pretty sure I got weaker because there was no gym, but emotionally, I'm a lot stronger, and I can deal with situations a lot better. Um, but it made me realize, just be thankful for what you have. Like, regardless of all the other things, just literally be thankful for who's in your life and what's in your life, and be thankful for everything that you have given to you. Because some people aren't as fortunate, and I've got a roof over my head, food, uh, I can be in Dubai or in London. I've got all these little perks in life, and most people don't. And I could sit there complaining about a lot of things, but again, complaining is not a positive way of thinking. And the more negative you are with certain thoughts, you're going to drag yourself back into it. You're going to drag yourself into a hole. You're going to feel bad. You're going to feel sad. You're going to feel like, oh, I don't want to do this. The more positive you think, and I know as it sounds cringy and a bit cliche, the more positive affirmations you have, the more positive you think on a day-to-day basis, and the more of a half full kind of person you are, the better your life will be.
Yeah, so actually starting to think that you're privileged and happy and blessed will actually give you more of that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think it's also that nothing is given to you on a plate, so you have to go and make your own luck.
yeah.
Most people are waiting for the big opportunity to hit. They're waiting for things to develop. What's
Mm,
the worst that can happen? If somebody says no, they say no. Like, it's
yeah,
not the end of the world. I used to be afraid of that. Oh, what if somebody says no? What if somebody doesn't like my message? Or then they're not the right person for you, or they're not the right client customer for you, or they're not the right follower for you. It's not a big deal. Like, life goes on. Like, I think most
yeah.
people look at social media and compare themselves to other people. It
I
doesn't
want
matter.
to touch on the subject of social media as you've kind of nicely introduced that as a segue. Now, there's so many self-made Instagram trainers, I would say, Tarek, which I find crazy. You know, everybody who just thinks that they look good or have a six who has a six pack, they think that they are in this capacity to now train people and to tell people about diet. And you know, we've had it with the lockdown. You know, people have automatically thought that, okay, you know what, let's stay at home and but we can be the trainers. There's this kind of it's quite a dangerous way to go actually, because not everybody that looks good, you know, some are blessed naturally with a certain figure or a certain body type, but that, you know, you can't presume that somebody just because they look good um will be able to help you or train you. What do you feel about this kind of social media world of trainers that's, I think that the most amount of posts that I see is all about like either they're a dietitian, yoga teacher, or a fitness trainer.
I, I put it in like, so again, when I want to work with someone, I'll kind of pre-qualify someone. So if I'm not a good fit for them, I'll tell them to go see somebody else. Because if
Yeah,
I can't help them reach the goal, then there's no point in them working with me. I think most people now are a bit afraid because work's low, or they feel like they have to do this, or like they're just basically trying to do whatever they can to get by. So I'm not faulting for people on that front, but there's a lot of information online, and that's what confuses people. But there's nothing wrong with, if you want to work with someone, if you see a trainer, if you
Yeah.
question them, ask them like, how can you help me, or what can you offer me? If they can't give you a answer that kind of makes you happy, or then they're not the right person for you. There's a lot of companies, there's a lot of people around the world doing every little thing on the sun. If you want to go buy sporting clothing, sporting wear, why would you go to Nike over Adidas, over Puma, over? There's a reason why you buy something. There's a reasoning why you like the brand, why you like the person. You ask questions, you go try it on. No, generally, if you want to go and buy a jumper, you'll go try on the jumper. You'll see, oh, is this material nice to me? Do I like it? Does it look good on me?
Yeah.
So the jumper may look good on a mannequin or hanging up. You
Mm.
try it on, it's going to look completely different. It may feel different. Oh, I don't like the material. Same thing with a trainer online. It
Yeah,
looks
have a good
good.
consultation beforehand and
Yeah,
then
ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. If the trainer looks good on their page, they like help other people. Fantastic. Okay, those other people may be in a completely different situation to you. Can they help you reach your goal? If your goal, if somebody said to me, I want to help, I want to go to a bodybuilding show, can you help me? I can, but I'd rather not. So I'd refer you out to someone I know would be better for that, because they have a real passion for it. If I
yeah,
don't have a passion for it, I'm not going to help you, because I know I don't really want to do that kind of, or work with that kind of clientele.
yeah.
I can refer them out to a load of different people who are just bodybuilding coaches. If somebody who says to me, I want to do a marathon, yes, I could potentially help you because I have the qualifications. If
Mm.
somebody says, I've got an eating disorder, can you help me? I could, but I'm going to refer you out to somebody who's a specialist in this area, because that will serve you better right now. And I bet you'll be better off spending your money in that and then coming to see me to train.
Yeah.
Um, so there's no harm in saying to someone, you know
Because
what?
that's sometimes our own body image and what we're influenced by what we think our body should look like. This is what I really wanted to say, is how, especially with the females, having a bigger butt or having the cinched waist and, just looking that kind of perfect Instagram model. And it's not possible for everyone, but not everybody wants to look that way either. And everybody is presuming that the way that Instagram shows and portrays this perception of health and fitness is the optimal. It's not. I think everybody doesn't have to be that that way in order to have stamina or strength, to be successful.
You have to also look at it in that sense that what what look something may look good on the surface, but deep down, it's never usually what you think it is. So all these Instagram models or all these Instagram trainers, I'm pretty sure a lot of them have eating disorders or have had some form of bad relationship with food. So
Yeah.
they're not all as they make out to as they make out to be. Some of them just don't have the proper education. Some of them are still learning. So again, some of them may not be the most qualified, and for you have to kind of ask questions.
Yeah.
I think
But don't
Instagram,
feel bad about seeing somebody on social media and thinking, "Oh, why don't I look like that?" Because that's probably not even the right image that they have. It's
it
probably photoshopped anyway, you know.
it goes back to, why do you want to look that way, and are you willing to do what that person did to get to that? But you have to look at it like, if somebody saw me on Instagram with one of my shirts off, a picture of my shirt taken off, oh I want to look like that. It took me 15 years. It took a lot of struggle. Like, it wasn't a plain
Yeah,
road. Can I get you to that in 2 years? Yeah, probably. But you have to realize it's going to be a 2-year process, not a 12-week process. If you want to lose a bit of body fat, you can do a lot in 12 weeks. You have to realize that Instagram is like a highlight reel of everyone. It's the
yeah,
best bits. It's never going to be the worst bits. So again, I'm very transparent. If something goes wrong in my life or whatever reason, or if, like with clients, I kind of like document their journeys. Okay, this and this happened. Could we have done it in a bit shorter space of time? Yeah, but their goal was not to do a drastic diet. Their goal was to do this over a longer period of time. You just have to be very transparent as well. Like, Instagram is a highlight reel. It's the best bits of someone's life. It's the best bits of what they choose to show you. Sometimes
Absolutely.
they're not going to show you the worst bits. Like, it's not going to happen. Like, you want to think about it, it's never, even like fat loss, it's never a downward trajectory. So it's never going to just be smooth sailing. There's going to be times where, as you lose body weight, your resting metabolic rate drops. So you may need less calories, you may need to move more. One week you may be sick, one week you may be away. It's always going to be like this. So in life, same thing. This always happens. It's never
Yeah.
going to just be, it's never going to be perfect. There's always going to be something that crops up.
Yeah.
If
So let's talk about your physique institute. Is that something that you've just set up in Dubai? And are you based in London and Dubai, or are you resident in Dubai now? Because I didn't know where you were. So if somebody wanted to kind of, wanted them to train, get trained by you and wanted some advice from you, how do people kind of contact you? And do you have something that is available? Books, especially with everything being digital now. Um,
so I did.
is the Physique Institute based in London, or is it Dubai based?
It's more of an online platform, so that's more my consultancy kind of thing. So it's more based around nutrition and training,
Right,
more of a one-to-one coaching service. So it's more of a one-to-one personal training service where I want to be able to help someone, not just give them a plan. Again, I'm planning to release something like that in the next couple of weeks, where it's more of
yeah,
a kickstart, just a foundation into what I do, a foundation into how I do.
brilliant. Yeah,
But ideally, right now, it's how I kind of work is it's more. I'm ideally based in London, but seeing as London is closed, I've extended my visa for another like 3 months. So I'm here until London opens up again,
right.
where I'm still doing consultancy. I'm training people here, um, and training people in London what I can. But it's more of a one-to-one service. So
So very bespoke.
so again, I kind of go on I go on a consultation call with someone, and seeing as everything is online now, I'll do an assessment over
Mm,
Zoom. I'll do a consultation over the phone or over Zoom as well. Send them a questionnaire. I'll talk to them about all the kind of things I've spoken to you about, their
yeah,
why, their daily habits, what they're doing now currently, their food, what they like, what they don't like. Find out a little bit more about what they're doing, what they can't do, what they can do, and then kind of give them something a bit more bespoke in terms of training and nutrition. The nutrition is going to be the biggest element that changes someone. Some people don't realize some of the things they do currently, but they need someone to tell them, okay, you're doing this, so it may not be conducive for you to get to your goals. For most people, it's going to be fat loss. 90% of the time, most people come and see me is fat loss, or if their goal is muscle building, like men,
mm,
I tell them, for most people, their goal should initially be fat loss. But when I look at fat loss is not like, oh, I'm going to put you on a very, very low calorie diet just to get you to lose weight. It's going to be like, we're going to improve your habits. You're going to, and then each person is bespoke. Each person is different. So some people may not even need to count calories in the original sense. Some people I might do something completely different. Some people I may get them to do hand size portions. Some people I may get them to have a framework. They may follow a diet plan per se. Everyone's gonna be slightly different based on where they are.
right.
And then I'll check in with them once a week. They'll have my WhatsApp. We'll speak pretty much on the first couple of weeks, so 2 to 3 weeks. I try and speak to everyone daily, send them voice notes, checking how they're doing, get them to
Mm.
send me pictures of their food, send them to get me pictures of what they're doing, their
Get
training.
people to make like kind of food diaries and stuff. I know that that's quite a popular one because you get sometimes actually that's quite a revelation in itself, like writing down everything that you've eaten because you think, did I actually eat all of that? And then when you have to write it down in the diary and you think, oh, I don't want to really kind of write that down. So is recording what you're doing is quite valuable as well, isn't it?
I'll do like videos, get them to video their food, take pictures of their food. It's just more of it's
Yeah,
like a consultancy educational thing. So it's not just me giving someone something. I'm like, okay, here's what you're going to do. I
yeah,
want you to check in with me on a daily basis for the first 2 to 3 weeks. Once you build habits in place and once you're a bit more comfortable, once you've done something for 2 to 3 weeks, it becomes second nature, like you're used to it.
yes,
I'll check in with them once a week. I'll get on a Zoom call or on a phone call with them once a week. I'll send them like a check-in sheet. I'll send them different things like recipes, like training. Everything is all in like a centralized app where they can
right.
just follow it on a day-to-day basis. And then we just talk. We talk about what they found hard, what their limiting factors were that week, what they found were the biggest win was that week, what I can do to help them. So it's basically me. It's like me being hand in hand with them throughout the whole
Yeah.
journey. And it's a lot more, let's say, cost effective than one-to-one training. But sometimes people aren't very sufficient at online training. So I'm like, okay, you may need to do a bit of both. You may need just the training element of things. But ideally, it's just there. My program is there to help people um, understand and get better at nutrition, and understand a little bit more about what they're taking in, how it's making them feel.
What do you
They're
think
going
the
to
main challenges with women compared to men? You know, when
so
you're working with men and women, what is the main blockage when it comes to women? And what is the main factor when it comes to men? And are they very different?
yeah, to be honest, for women, it's not going to be the biggest challenge I see is the what they've already thought, what they've already been told before. So their misconceptions, that's a better
Right.
word, the misconceptions of food. I can't eat carbohydrates, I can't eat this, I can't do this because I told this, or my trainer told me this, or oh my god, am I allowed to have bread for breakfast? My trainer told me I can't. I
Yeah.
see some people just for
There
nutrition.
are so many myths, though, isn't there? There's so many. Like, do you train before food, or do you train after food? You know, like how much water should you take? Should you should you eat bread? Actually, there's a question that should you train before food or after food? Tarek, I might as well ask you.
Depends on the person. So say, let's say a normal person, if you have a very, very big meal,
Yeah.
it may take like 3 to 5 hours to digest properly. If
Right.
you train first thing in the morning,
Yeah.
you may not find that you want to eat first thing in the morning. You can train fasted or semi-fasted, have a coffee, um, but then you want to make sure the night before you have a meal with sufficient carbohydrates and protein and fats to help
Right.
in that session. So you'll still have some muscle glycogen. So you still have some stores of glycogen in your
Yeah.
body to help you during that session. So help push you during that session. You'll still have an element of energy to push you during that session. So if
Okay.
you are the type to eat something first thing in the morning and then train and feel fine, then great. Go, I would probably say 90 minutes before a session, have something relatively small, probably anywhere between 3 to 500 calories, maybe a bit less for some people. So probably for females, 2 to 300 calories, 90 minutes before a session is probably a good
And
shout.
what would you say is ideal to eat kind of the first thing in the morning, or what to avoid?
So that's where I work with people, and that's where I kind of find out what they can handle and what they can't.
Right.
Some people, let's say, some people can take in a lot more than others. If you are leaner, you could probably digest and take in more than somebody who is not so lean.
Yeah.
If you are the type of person to have a heavy meal the night before, you're not going to feel as hungry. If you have slightly more body fat, you may not feel slightly as hungry. If your habits and your lifestyle is a bit out of whack, you may not feel slightly as hungry. If you don't sleep, you may not. So
Yeah.
ideally, what I tell most people is, if the easiest thing to take on board is something like a protein shake before you work out, and maybe
Right.
some fruit, because protein shake is pre-digested protein, so it's not going to take as long to digest in your gut
Yeah.
as a as 3 eggs would, or 2 eggs in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah.
So again, some people could have the 2 eggs, feel great, and go and train. 2 eggs and a piece of bread, they'll be fine.
Right.
Then we look at like digestion with certain people. We look at how people digest certain foods. But if you are, so I think most people get this kind of wrong. So if you are within calories, if you work out your calories and you know where you should be at over a 7 day period, what
Yeah.
happens on a day-to-day basis is not that important than what happens over a 7 day period. So if you are eating consistently a certain amount of protein, a certain amount of calories per day, if it's slightly over or under, it's fine, because you have to also take into account energy expenditure. So you're walking around, moving. That's why people say to you, walk, move, be active.
Yeah.
Um, but that will not make that much of a difference if you're very active. As long as
Right.
you get to that weekly target and you keep tracking and you are on top of your tracking, it doesn't have to be weighing yourself. It could be looking in the mirror. It could be tape measurements. It could be all these different things,
Hmm.
will make a big difference. But going back to what you originally said, ideally, I think for most people, especially females, let's look at females,
Yes.
probably like 20 grams of protein before a workout.
Okay.
Um, and then depending if they want to have a bit more fat or a bit more carb, depending on their diet, maybe a bit of fruit. So if I was going to give someone, like, if they don't really want to have anything before they train, then I'll give them, okay, go and have some coffee, go train for like an hour, and then have a protein shake afterwards. That's fine to do. It's nothing
Right.
wrong with that. if you feel like do you feel like yourself? So let's take you as an example. Do you
Yeah.
wake up in the morning hungry?
You see, I've been doing intermittent fasting.
Yeah.
Now, is that a good thing?
Depends for what? What's the goal? Fat
So
loss is
yeah, I did it to actually control my weight because I felt like actually I put on weight in COVID because I had so much medicines. I had to take like paracetamol every 4 hours, Tarek, that I had such bad body pain that I would wake up screaming with pain, excruciating pain, and I'd go to sleep with pain. And that was one of my side effects actually, that the symptoms I had for COVID. So I actually ended up putting on weight because I had to eat something for my medicine. So a friend of mine, he's a semi boxer, he said to me, well, Maryum, why don't you start like intermittent fasting? And then so I have something at like 12. I'll have like a couple of glasses of water and I have like a herbal tea in the morning and then have breakfast at 12. And then in the evening I'll have something like kind of at 6:30, 7 o'clock. And I don't have anything the whole day. I just have lots of drinks and juices, not juices, just lots of herbal teas.
yeah.
So I did that for a few months, and actually that kind of worked out quite well. I kind of stabilized everything, and now I'm again the same. I've turned into a cabbage potato because I just feel like I'm so exhausted, from the whole lockdown, and I'm just having a bit of a. I was having a bit of a downer. And because we can't go out, I usually walk every day for about an hour because it's so cold and like today is raining, Tarek. So, I don't want to go out. So for that reason, for the last few weeks, I haven't done anything, but I have started intermittent fasting. So I actually have like, toast and eggs and avocado in the morning, and I have something quite hearty. So about 12 o'clock is when I have my first meal.
You'll probably find same thing as intermittent fasting. You said if it's good or not. It depends on what the goal is. Muscle building, no, probably not, because you're gonna have to cram in so much food in a short period of time. Fat
Right.
loss, probably, but it's good for fat loss if you're still within a calorie deficit. So a calorie deficit is
Yes.
basically consuming less and moving a bit more in its simplest form.
Yeah.
Other things may change that, but same thing. Keto, if you're in a calorie deficit, it works. If you're intermittent fasting in a calorie deficit, it works for fat loss. If you are low carb in a calorie deficit, it works. Think of a bank account. If you have £2,000 in your bank account, in 1 month you spend £3,000, you're going to be in overdraft. So if you have
Right.
£2,000, you're going to spend £2,000. You don't
Yep.
want to do
I
too
like
much, cause yourself damage.
my calorie bank account.
It's exactly like a bank account. It's like anything you do. So you need to eat less, but this is where it goes into it starts lingering into like extreme deficits and extreme
Yeah.
diets. If you do too
I
little,
can't starve. I like and enjoy my food, so I don't want to be deprived. But what I'm missing in this last 1 month is the fact that I'm not exercising as much. I'm a sunshine soul. I like to be solar powered, so I'm feeling the effects. Actually, I'm having a cozy lockdown. So for me, I know it's affected my sleep. I feel that it's affected a little bit of my stress, but not exercising. For me, exercising regulates me. I have to have this. I have this kind of uh, expendable energy that I actually want to get rid of it. Like like a child has all the surplus energy. I actually have this energy that I need to kind of get rid of. For me, that's how I work.
you'll find even like going for a walk during the day, you'll get like the actual sunlight helps with melatonin release and serotonin release in the evening. So you
Yeah.
get the natural sunlight that will help you kind of signal to your body that you're going through your proper circadian rhythm. So you're probably going through your proper sleep cycles. If you get like up to 30 minutes of sunlight per day, it allows your body to basically like think of a 100-meter race. If you get enough serotonin in the evening, it's like the gun going off in the race, telling your body, okay, now is time to set yourself off for sleep. If you don't walk out, if you don't go outside for a walk, if you don't get direct sun, if you have too much blue light from your computer screen, from your phone, that's why if
Which
you're
I have.
that can affect your serotonin levels in your body if you have too much blue light
Yeah.
um, throughout the day. So if you look at your screen all day long, if you're not moving, that can affect sleep and it can keep you up and you're not going to feel tired. But going back to the the, I was talking about like the bank account, the calories and whatnot. So intermittent
Yeah.
fasting can have a benefit, but like it's the easiest way to explain is like starting a new business. You go into a new business with a business plan. If you go into a diet with no sort of plan, like a business, if you have
Yes,
no
like
plan, if
anything
you
in
have no
life. Yeah.
cash or cash flow forecast, you're gonna fail because you don't know what you're taking in and what you're taking out, and it's
Yes.
gonna be a disaster. And like after like a 3 month period, you're gonna probably have to close the business. 'Cause you're not gonna make any
Yeah.
money, and it's gonna be all over the place. No one will invest in you, and it's the same thing as a diet. If you go into it with no plan whatsoever, 90% of the time you will probably fail. Or if you don't fail in that period of time, afterwards you'll probably put the weight back on again because you don't have an exit strategy from that diet. Similar
Yeah.
things. Intermittent fasting has its benefits. Um, is it the holy grail of fat loss? No. Can it be better? Can it help you depending on your preferences? Yeah. If it makes you stick to a diet and makes you adherent, then it's the best thing in the world. If it
Yeah.
doesn't, it's the worst thing in the world. It's simple as that.
Okay. That's a really good rule. So now you're inspiring everybody and helping everybody else. Is there an inspiration that you kind of follow, or people that have guided you, and anybody that you look up to?
Uh, in what, in training, fitness, or just in life in general?
But anyone, both. How about both?
Uh, I don't know about this. I don't think anyone's asked me this one before. I have a few people I like, but nothing that I would say inspire me to kind of be like them.
Yeah.
Um, I think I just want to be able to kind of get to a point where I can help as many people as possible, not do the same mistakes that I did, and not have the same problems as I did.
Yeah.
And also want to be able to teach people that to kind of like build a physique, kind of build your body, your dream body. It takes
Is there
more.
anybody that you idolized, anybody that you really liked in the fitness world, and you liked their body when you were training for wrestling? Is somebody that you aspired to?
There's like a lot of wrestlers I liked when I was younger, like when I was watching like WWF,
Yeah.
Stone Cold, Triple H, The Rock, all these kind of guys.
Yeah, we
Uh,
love The Rock. I used to love The Rock myself.
I said, like, I
Still,
said,
he's so great, isn't he? I mean, it's somebody who's really taken, the physique and gone mainstream. Who would think that he would go into acting and, changed his career?
I think that's what I want to kind of teach everyone. You don't have to give up your life. You don't have to be miserable. You don't have to be starving to get a impressive physique your physique goes along a lot more than your physique is your mental physique, and your physical physique kind of go hand in hand. So your mental mind, your mental strength, and your physical strength go hand in hand. If you have one without the other, you're going to fail. So I think just looking at people like, I like Tony Robbins, I like Gary Vee, I like these kind of people, and like some of the stuff they say. Um, there's a lot of other guys that are online. Like there's a guy called Steven. I like some of the stuff he says. I
What's the
wouldn't
best
say
advice that you've been given?
in best advice I've been given. I think the best advice I've been given is like kind of stay in your own lane, as in like stop worrying about what everybody else is doing, and
Yeah.
just focus on yourself. The same, and also like it's it is very simple, this piece of advice, but just keep it simple. Sometimes you don't have to overcomplicate certain things to
Yes.
make yourself successful or to get to a certain point in life. Just keep things very, very simple. Follow things to the end and be consistent, and you'll get that you'll reap what you sow. Kind of like you'll get the rewards that the effort you put in. So if you are bad to people, you'll get bad negative energy. If you're good to people, good energy will come your way. So I kind of think I take that into like everything I do. So I try and be as nice, friendly, compassionate, and helpful as I can to people. And I kind of hope in return I get the same thing back. So as many people as I can to help. Even if people have questions online, they can drop me a message on Instagram. If people have anything they're unsure of or want me to clarify a bit more in a post or a video, I'm more than happy to do that. Again, I want to be able to help as many people as I can to ditch all these stigmas, ditch all these like fallacies, ditch all these things that
Yeah.
nutrition is a lot more than just following a plan on paper. It's following a low carb diet. It's following intermittent fasting. You need to find and learn a little bit more about, just like as you did as a kid. You learn to walk, you have to learn a little bit more about nutrition, because what you
Mhm.
put in your body can influence how you live your life, from how active you are, from um, if you're getting ill, if you're getting a flu, if you being able to run a 5K, all these things come into the equation. And it doesn't mean giving everything up again, but if you don't fuel your body correctly,
Yes.
you're going to find your life is not going to be as good as it could be.
Yeah. So what advice would you give to your younger self then? You know, the
Definitely.
chubby little boy that you used to be. If you went back in time, what advice would you give to him? What you know now?
I'll basically say keep it simple,
Keep it
and
simple.
keep it simple, and also don't be afraid to take a risk, because I think for a long time I was. This is just with everything in my life. Just don't be afraid to take a risk, because then if you don't overthink stuff and don't be afraid to take a risk, because then like something, if it's there on paper, um, try, see what happens.
Yeah.
Don't always try and like hold back and be too reserved and be like, oh, what if this happens and that happens and this and that. You can't control. Like I think COVID taught me this very very well. You can't control every situation. Sometimes you just have to make do with what's in front of you. So you're not going to be able to control everything. I'm the type of person who wants to control everything. I want to know everything and have every possible outcome sorted out in my head. COVID
Right.
realized I can't do that. So
But
if I
let go of yourself a little bit. Kind of
yeah,
let go.
if I'm planning a little bit more every weekend, every week, as I know my non-negotiables, and everything else that happens around that, just it's part of life. Just enjoy the ride, do as best as you can, and stop freaking out about things you can't control.
Yeah. Talking about controlling, where do you see yourself in the future? Do you have a plan for the next 5 years? Where do you see yourself in the industry or with your work?
There's one more thing I want to tick off my bucket list is be on the front cover of Men's Health.
Oh, nice.
That-
Yeah.
that's one of my bucket list things that I need to finish. I want to climb Kilimanjaro.
Yeah.
I want to
That's
climb
nice. Yeah.
a couple of mountains. I want to be able to have tried to have reached helping 1,000 plus people. Basically, build a business where it's self-sufficient. I can work online from
Yeah.
anywhere. But ideally, just be able to help people. That's the kind of main thing. But I think my own personal thing is like get on the cover of Men's Health, and kind of get a bit more, um, get my message out to more people that for you to actually change the way you look, it doesn't require so much suffering. And I
Yeah.
think it's also, I ideally quite like working with females, because I think females tend to have all these barriers that need to be broken down um, over time. So
Yeah.
when it comes to nutrition, so they have these barriers that, oh, I
Do you
can't
think
eat.
that women are kind of harder on themselves?
Oh yeah, 100%. Like a lot of them are like hard on themselves. I don't look good. I don't feel good. I look too fat. Or I don't look good in this dress. I don't, when in 99% of the time, it's not as bad as they think it is, or it's never as they build up something in their head that seems to be a lot worse. But um, my kind of main thing is like, I really want to be able to help women defeat all these little fallacies they have. Oh, I can't eat this, or I can't do this, or this makes me that. Just teach them. I think most people want to see a quick result and see a quick transformation or see a quick change, but don't want to really put in education, put in time, and
Yeah.
give themselves
I
time.
think
They're
we
too
also kind of
hard
follow
on.
what people have done, and then we think, okay, if that's worked for someone, then we'll do it as well. But they, having an understanding of oneself
Yeah,
first and how one operates is completely different to somebody else. And so your lifestyle and behavior and your psychology is completely different, which make up all these elements.
you could have two identical twins, have the
Yeah.
same genetics, but their environments are completely different. They'll turn out to be completely different. One may be slightly bigger than the other. One might be more muscular than the other. Genetics, think genetics is like a loaded gun. Genetics like basically loads the gun, and the
Right.
environment is like you shooting is like the environment. It basically will the outcome may be completely different each time. Your environment will dictate how something ends up the end result. So based on if you're bullied, if you um, live in a different country, if you are born in a different religion, all these things can have an effect on the individual. So two of the same people, two identical twins could be completely different. So most people don't realize a diet that works for you may not work for your friend. In
Yeah.
essence, it's the same rules, but the rules are in any diet, they're all the same. The
Yeah.
calorie, the thing I was talking about, but the environment is in a diet is the how specific it is to you. So if you don't like eating carbs after
Yeah.
6 p.m., if you don't feel like you like eating avocados, these are all things that make a difference. If you don't like, if you have to train in the morning, but you can't eat in the morning because you feel your stomach feels disgruntled, and all these things is when a diet becomes a bit more specific and a bit more nutrition becomes more specific to you. But I don't think people realize that. They just want
No,
to follow.
Tarek, you're completely true because when I was young, my mother used to say, yeah, stop eating or don't eat. And my sister is very slim. Like she's quite slender, right? Like me, I'm the opposite. I'm quite curvy and I was, just kind of, grew quickly, and formed quickly. And so my sister is very much, more of a straight, narrow build. And I'm more curvy. And I was like, my mother always used to say to me, she goes, stop eating, exercise. Moto means like, fatty, the moto. And I was like, what do I do? And I'm just made a different way. Some people say they're big boned or whatnot, but we actually physically, you know, developed differently.
Yeah, it could kind of the genetics as well. But I had like, as you were saying, that my ex girlfriend was Pakistani, so she was one of my ex girlfriends. She was Pakistani. She was telling me about her story when she was younger. She was like overweight, and she would get I was with her for like quite a while, so I saw like when we started dating, her food and her nutrition and her habits were terrible. Like she just wouldn't eat, and she would go through like
Oh, she
intense.
wouldn't eat at all.
She would eat, but like very like minimally. She'd go and
Right.
do like intense exercise, like feel like she has to starve herself to look a certain way and blah blah blah. But I think that was more to do with her being overweight as a kid. And as
Mm.
we kind of, I basically educated her into doing into like what she should do and what she shouldn't do, and teaching her a little bit about calories and macros and da 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 da. Um, she kind of transformed her mindset over a 2 year period,
Yeah.
because sometimes she wouldn't eat and she'd go and do like a Barry's bootcamp class and come back and be like completely like shaking and like out of it and not with it. And I'm like, you need to eat a little bit more. And then she kind of realized after a period of time that it's not it's not just about the food you eat, it's about how much you eat, and it's about the quality of the food and all these little things. And if you exercise, you don't really need to restrict yourself to a point where you're not eating anything. I
Yeah.
think people that go on extreme deficit diets
I
don't
couldn't punish myself like that at all, Tarek. I'm not I'm not one to punish myself at all. I'll reward myself. I actually reward myself even with food, as in thinking that's good food now. I'm eating it for fuel for my body, not just for pleasure. If I want pleasure, I'll watch a movie or do something else. But I kind of making that kind of distinction really.
you also have to think of food as like people use it as a reward mechanism, or as a mechanism when they're depressed, or mechanism when they're stressed, or there's
Yeah.
all little things like if when I was overweight as a kid, it took me a long time to realize I use food as a bit of a coping mechanism when I'm stressed or when I'm tired, when I'm hungry. But then it
Yeah.
got to a point
You
now.
find it even now that you kind of you kind of go towards a food that gives you more comfort,
Now
or not now?
I've become like a creature of habit. Like I eat certain things like day in day out because I actually enjoy them. Like I'll
Yeah.
have I'll have a bowl of oats because I enjoy eating oats. I have a bowl of
Yeah.
frozen berries with yogurt. If I go out with my friends and I come back like after a night out,
Yeah.
they'll be eating like God knows what, like fried chicken and
Yeah.
pizza.
Yeah.
I'll be eating. I'll be the only one eating like a bowl of yogurt.
Yeah. But it's interesting how your palate can change also. We didn't,
Yeah.
obviously coming from Pakistani background, we love our spices. We love we put spices in everything. Even in fruit salad, we'll spice it up. You name everything. I went to New York and my cousin was on a diet and she was eating grapefruit and she put some this kind of spices on her grapefruit and she goes, "This is the only way I can eat it." And so we'll spice everything up, and so we have a different palette. But you know what, that can also be changed because I have done it with myself. I've changed the way that I eat and the way that I've enjoy different foods and find pleasure in different foods. Not at first, it takes a bit of time, but you can get used to it.
Yeah, I was like that again when I first started. I would, if you told me, "Oh, you got to go and eat a bowl of oats or a bowl of yogurt because you like it," I'd be like,
Yeah.
"No way." Um, But I think for me, like even like Arabic households, they like food. So again, I
Yeah.
start just eating a lot of food, and then now I'm able to pick and choose what foods I like. I can say no to something. Before I found it harder. Now I can be like, if somebody gives me a piece of cake, I'm like, now I'm fine. I don't really want it. If I really want something, I'll eat it. If I don't want it. I will
Is
say
it
no.
again, your association with food, the food association, like, sometimes you have to kind of create such a cringe or like a negative, meaning towards that food that you don't eat it.
I think yeah, like for
Through
me
food association?
it was more like I used to um more of an education thing. I used to think
Yeah.
food was good and bad. It's I don't like using the words good and bad. You just want to think that food, some food is going to be more nutritious. So you want to have 80% of your diet being more nutritious food, and have the leading have the 20% as a bit of a buffer that you can still
Yeah.
include foods you like in your day-to-day life, which may be not as nutritious. But again, some people may not be at that position where they have the 80-20% rule. Some
Yeah.
people need to be 100% of eating good quality food and no buffer for a period of time. Then they can slowly transition themselves away to the 90-10, 80-20, and knowing when to have certain foods. Like majority of my food is 90% of the time, it's good quality food.
Right.
10% of the time, I can have a buffer because I can control myself. If you gave me a, a tub of ice cream, I could have like a quarter of it and then say stop.
Yeah.
Most people probably can't. If somebody said, if I'm going to have a handful of, I don't know, popcorn, I could have a handful and stop. I'm very fine stopping.
Yeah.
People can't do that
You
because it's become,
control yourself quite well.
yeah, some people have triggers. So some people get triggered emotionally by food. Some people get made triggered because they're starving themselves. Some people there's all these little triggers in life. This is where like the consultancy and nutrition, like
Yeah.
working with me comes in handy. I can talk to someone about this. I can figure out what the triggers may be. Why are they triggered by it? Again, it goes back to the why. Why are
Yeah.
you triggered by certain food? Why are you triggered by alcohol? Why do you feel like you need to eat this? Why do you feel like you need to eat that? Is there a reason why? But I want to get people to a position where they're comfortable eating food and not second guessing themselves and thinking, oh, you know what? Oh, I feel really bad that I had that. But
Yeah.
why do you feel bad that you had that? Oh, because like it's bad for me. Well, if the majority of your diet is good and you had a piece of cake, will it make your calories higher that day? Yeah, probably. Will it kind of take you away from getting to your goal? Highly doubt it. Highly doubt it. So I think most people need to realize that, like, it goes back to keeping it simple.
Yes.
If you think of the framework, if you have a framework in place, if it's simple, if you have someone to lean back on, to talk to kind of act as accountability and kind of help guide you towards that,
Yes.
like autonomy, basically guide you towards where you need to be, it becomes a lot easier. That's why I tell people, if you are struggling for whatever reason, if whatever you've done has not worked, if you're still like grinding away and you're still like spinning your wheels and not getting to where you want to get to, that's why you
Yeah.
can hire someone like me to say to you, okay, this is what we're going to do, this is the time frame I expect, I want to see you get to this much weight loss or this much fat loss. Or again, there's also weight loss and fat loss can be very different as well. So I think a lot
Yeah.
of people look at it as in like weight loss. Wording can make a big difference. Weight loss can be, you can go and basically you could just eat McDonald's for a month, you'd lose weight. If you want to lose body fat and change the way you look, that's where the eating more quality food comes in handy. And it's more important than just like, oh, yeah, I'm just going to eat McDonald's all day long. Yeah, you may lose weight, but it's not going to be nutritionally good food for you. Um,
Yeah.
I think that's why all these things are like the foundation of a house. If you have all the foundations of a house all set in stone, if you know what you're doing, if you're going into something with a plan, you're
Yeah.
going to be successful. If you just go into it like blindfolded, oh, let me see what happens, you're going
Yeah. I think what you've touched on accountability is so true, because I started with my first trainer, and the first day I thought he was trying to kill me. I was on the treadmill and he was like, okay, another 5 minutes. And I was like, I'm sure you're trying to kill me. But he was just trying to assess me the first day of what I could do, what I was capable of doing, how I react to, an instruction. And there was so many different things in the first couple of sessions. which I was like, I'm gonna kill you because you're trying to kill me the first day. But it really does make sense, and I encourage everybody who is looking for, starting off 2021 with a different perspective, and when they know they want to do something and achieve it, I think having a coach or a trainer is the best possible way. Being accountable, knowing, educating yourself, because sometimes we don't know, we self-educate, or we just hearsay that this might be good or that might be good, whereas as in really kind of getting in touch with who we are. What is the best piece of advice that you're going to leave everybody with that for 2021? What would you suggest?
So I was actually thinking about this the other day. What can I give people advice for 2021? If 2020 is anything to go by, try and smile more. I know it sounds very cliche. Try and smile more. Um, Reach out to friends and family that you might not spoken to for a while, just to say hi, and try and enjoy each day. So try and savor each day. This is
Mm,
nothing to do with fitness, nutrition. It's just like a piece of advice I'm going to try and do myself, and it may kind of touch home with someone listening. Um, Savor each day. Try and make the most of each day. So we have 24 hours. Try and make the most of every single second of each day, because you never know what's going to happen. We may be stuck in another lockdown for 4 months. Um, just try and make the most of your situation, and look at it in a positive manner. So if you have a goal for 2021, don't let this stop you. Um, there's always going to be a plan A, a plan B, a plan C, a plan D for you to get towards your goal. So whatever your goal is this year, don't let a lockdown, don't let a pandemic be the main factor that you don't actually start.
yeah,
Um, and I think that goes back to like a big thing is, don't be afraid to start something. If something's not 100%, if it's not finished, if it's, just take a risk. You're nothing is ever going to be perfect from the first second. Just take a risk, go for it, and just enjoy life more. Just enjoy the little simple things, picking up the phone, talking to a friend, um, just being more present in life, I guess. Just being present in every single day, enjoying it. Don't like let the like
take it for granted.
yeah, don't take anything for granted. Even this like whole like what day 2000 of like isolation,
Exactly, lost count now.
I feel lost count. But like I'm just trying to enjoy and savor things a lot more. Even going on the balcony, listening to music, and just
Yeah,
looking
even
at the cars.
enjoying the fact that I always say that, even enjoying, because when I had COVID, and I was like, well, I'm just enjoying COVID, and next enjoying COVID, I was like enjoying the actual being at home, and having this stop for myself, because I was always flying around. So kind of enjoying where you are, like you
Yeah,
said.
just enjoying. Yeah, just being present. Just be
Yeah,
as present as you can every
yeah,
single day, because we are inclined as humans to think about the past, to think about the future, to think about these are things that happened. You're not going to change them. The future, it's not happened yet. You're not going to be able to change it or shape it because you
yeah.
can't.
We're
The
just
only,
in control
the
of now.
only, yeah, the only thing you can control
Yeah,
is right now, this second, this minute, this moment you're in. So
yeah,
what happens in a minute's time is going to be in your control. You are the person that's going to make. If I'm going to go pick up a bottle, that was me. That's my head. That's my brain saying I'm going to pick up the bottle.
yeah,
It's not your mom, not your dad, not your friend, not your grandmother. It's you. So just be present in the moment and stop thinking about the past and what could have been, because unless you are, unless you're God, you're not going to change that.
yeah,
And the future, unless you're God, you're not going to change that. So whatever decision you make from now, just be more conscious in your decisions and be more present, and you're going to enjoy life a lot more. I think most people think one step ahead or one step back, or kind of like thinking too much about what's happened or thinking too much about the future. They forget to enjoy the experiences they have now. Like
yeah,
I know I did that a lot, and I really did not enjoy a lot of things in life. And I look back and I'm just like, damn, why did I not? Why did I not just forget about the future and the past way too much? Like
yeah,
I was a person, like I was a big. I used to think about the past all the time. I wish I did this. I wish I did that. And then I woke up one day and I was like, you know what? Like, stop thinking. I wish I did it. You haven't. You
yeah,
It's done. Like, you made that decision. Deal with the consequences. This is how your life has turned out, and it's turned out this way for a reason. So
yes.
just keep going each day, and things will happen the way it should happen. Just
Absolutely.
be
Trust
more
the
positive.
journey.
Yeah, trust your journey. Trust God's gonna put you where you should be going, and be positive about it.
Thank you so much, Tarek, for giving us your time, especially as you're not 100%, but wish you a speedy recovery
Thank
and
you.
inshallah very successful 2021. Thank you
Thanks
so much.
for back to London.
Thank you. Thanks.